Yo, what up? It's Teddy with Caravan Crypto. This is the first video on this channel. This channel is brand new. It's actually started today, May 12th, 2020, my birthday, one day after the Bitcoin halving. And what you're looking at on this screen here is a visualization of the transactions occurring on Bitcoin's ledger, right? Which is also called the blockchain. Now, in the blockchain, this block right here is the ID number, basically, of the block that the chain is, this chain is displaying. And each one of these balls represents a amount of Bitcoin being transacted at the time. So, for example, this little green ball is 2.35 Bitcoin. This big green ball is 30 Bitcoin. And 30 Bitcoin, I think right now is about like 250 grand. This is another one for 10 Bitcoin. Whew, look at this one right here. This is 166 Bitcoin. Here, let's take a look at what the calculation is on that, right? So we got 166 Bitcoin times, and I believe the price is right now $8,789, right? So 166 Bitcoin times 8,700, and let's go $94 equals 1.5 million bucks for that one transaction on the blockchain. Now, wow, look at all those transactions that just crashed down. It's crazy. There's a lot of action on the Bitcoin ledgers, a lot of action, because Bitcoin is transacted worldwide, right? There's no border or regulatory body that can stop the Bitcoin transactions from occurring. It has started in 2009 and has gone up until this very moment with not 1 millisecond of downtime. Has never had an erroneous transaction, and no entity, no government, no banking institution, no regulatory body, no hacker, no person has ever been able to stop one transaction from occurring on the blockchain. And the reason why it's called a blockchain is because so you have a ledger, right? Like a ledger at a bank, right? And a bank ledger is keeping a transaction of the ins and outs of accounts, right? John sent $1 to Tom, so now Tom has $1 more than he had, and John has $1 less. And so if they both had $100, now John has 99 and Tom has 101. And that's what a ledger is, right? That's nothing new. Now, the difference between a bank ledger and a Bitcoin ledger is a Bitcoin ledger is shared on a public blockchain, right? Nobody can see all the transactions occurring on a bank ledger, but everybody can see, as we're watching right now, all the transactions occurring on the Bitcoin ledger. Now, don't think that these balls are the actual ledger. This is just like a computer simulated visualization that represents the transactions occurring on the blockchain, right? And so you can find this at bitbonkers.com. And Bitbonkers, actually, sorry, BillFodl, like how it says right here on the screen, BillFodl.com/pages/Bitbonkers, and this will give you this visualization. Anyway, so what happens on the blockchain is this, right? So since 2009, there's a first block that popped up, and now we have this second block, which actually, one block occurs every 10 minutes, Every 10 minutes, whatever data was written on that ledger, it was transacted and then encrypted. And when it was encrypted, it locked itself up, and it can only be read now. And so that nobody can change that previous ledger's page, right? And so they call that a block because it just got turned into a block of data that is now encrypted, and a new block starts that is chained to the old one, hence the blockchain, right? So that you never see a lapse in terms of the ledger trying to keep up, right? Like it's connected to each other. You won't find missing pages in a book, and you won't find missing blocks here on the blockchain. And now, so anybody can download this ledger, and there are quite a few people around the world, hundreds of thousands of people around the world who are keeping track of this ledger, and making sure that the security of the ledger is intact. Now, let's say you were somebody that wanted to hack Bitcoin, right? Which, if you do hack Bitcoin, there's roughly a $7 billion reward for doing so. But in any case, if you did want to hack Bitcoin's ledger, you would have to hack the hundreds of thousands of computers that are out there that are holding the ledger, and then change what's on the ledger in all 100,000 of those, or hundreds of thousands of those computers that are holding the ledger. And once you change that ledger, or if you were successful in doing so, you'd hack it. But in order to be successful in doing that on all those hundreds of thousands of computers, you need to do it within 10 minutes, because once that new block hits, that block that you were writing on gets encrypted, right? And that's why they call it crypto, right? It gets encrypted, and it now cannot be written on anymore, right? So you lost your ability to modify that block, and so you'd have to start that whole process over again, trying to hack all those hundreds of thousands of computers. But let's say you were successful in hacking all those hundreds of thousands of computers. If the miners got together and decided to fork your Bitcoin blockchain, they could fork and create a new Bitcoin blockchain that got rid of that erroneous transaction and then resume business as usual. So, there's really no incentive to hack Bitcoin, because it's just a crazy network that is very secure. It's like the most secure data resource on the planet. And so vice versa, you hear about banks getting hacked all the time, dude. Like credit bureaus get hacked all the time. Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies get hacked all the time. It's not hard, it's not difficult for hackers to attack these places. And the way they counteract that is they have insurance and whatnot. But still, somebody got a hold of your identity. If you ever had identity theft, if somebody got a hold of your stuff, it is a pain in the ass to try to get that corrected. You have to go to the bank, plead with the bank. I know a guy who he had a lot of money in his account, and he noticed that quite a significant amount of money was missing. He goes into the Bank of America. He opens up a dispute, right? And right there, while he's talking to the teller, after his ID is verified and everything, and they're accessing his account, he noticed that somebody in London was purchasing like a $30,000 vehicle or something, $30,000, and he was telling the teller right there to stop the transaction, and the teller told him, or was it the teller, like the business manager, whatever that they have you sit down at the desk with? I mean, the guy told him he couldn't stop it, right? He couldn't stop that transaction from happening. He got his money back and whatnot, but still, think about it. You're in the branch. You're verified as the account holder. They notice fraudulent activity on the account and still can't stop it. How much power do these guys really have? Not much. And, so with Bitcoin, like, you don't have all those issues. You don't have all those problems like that, right? At the same time, Bitcoin's never closed. We had a recent market crash. They call it the Black Thursday crash, the worst crash in Bitcoin history. And Bitcoin dropped from $7,900 to $3,800 in like a matter of hours, a few hours. And at the same time, though, the stock market was crashing, right? It was crashing that they halted trading twice. The reason why you could see that kind of volatility on, for Bitcoin in the crypto space is because people wanted access to their money and couldn't sell their Facebook stock or their Tesla stock or whatever because trading was halted. The only place that they could go get money at was Bitcoin because there's no such thing as halting trading because of volatility. It doesn't, like, there's nothing like that. This is an absolute free market. Like, if you're the type of person that enjoys trading stock, you should seriously look at the crypto, because the swings are ridiculous. Here we could look at, you know, a Bitcoin chart. And let's say we took this. This is a 343 chart. I use the Boss method. Shout out to BK, crypto trader Brandon Kelly, the creator of the Boss method. It is truly a revolutionary way of trading, man. It's awesome. I love this thing. And you know, the way these MAs work, I mean, it's just dope. It's just hella dope. So look, if we look at the 343 chart here, dude, this was like the Black Thursday crash right here. This is when it happened. Right here, actually, it went from around just under 8,000, came down to 3,800, climbed back up. And this is in, let's see, this is in, let's say, the bottom of the crash up until now. It's in 56 days. It did 86%. You know, less than 2 months, it did 86% in a swing, right? Let's look at another one, right? Let's look at another one. Let's go from down here. This is TradingView. I'm sure you guys know it if you play stocks. We're looking at 41 days, and it does 42%. Like, yo, you're not getting these gains in the stock market. You're not. I know what you guys do in the stock market. You're not getting gains like this. You're happy at, you know, 15, 20%, and that's cool. Like, if you're happy with it, that's great. You know, but you are not getting let's see, you're not getting 216% in 86 days, in 90 days. You're not getting that on the reg, bro. This is on the reg. This is not like an anomaly here, dude. This is happening so much. This is happening so much. Even these little small jumps, man. This is like a little small hurdle. We're talking about 34% in 13 days. If you really love trading stocks, if you love trading Forex, you know, you like 20, 15% in a month or whatever, you know, you're looking at way more than that in the crypto space. And this is Bitcoin. This is the largest asset class in crypto. You know, I know how penny stocks have, you know, more returns over time, like greater returns over time. You know, the cheaper the stock, right, the more the price can move. And Bitcoin, it's not even the fastest moving one. Let's just look at let's look at NEO, right? NEO is a very volatile coin, or I wouldn't say very volatile, but it has moved. It has its movements, you know. Let's go from here. We're still on the 343 candle. Here, let's move around a little bit. Let's move around. Sorry, all this data is loading. Here, let's take the recent drop, right? Let's go from, you know, this Black Thursday drop. Let's say you bought at the bottom, 5.57%. I mean, $5.57. You know, you did 113% in 52 days. Dude, come on, man. You're not doing that. And let's look at this one. This is a crazy run up right here. I think I remember this when it happened. This is, let's examine it a little closer. This is back in 23rd of October to when was this? The 27th of October. In 4 days, 73%. And we were in a down market in October, dude. Like, it was not looking good. Let's say like from the all-time high, you know, back down to restart the cycle. Let's take a look at it. We're looking at minus 64%, and that happened in 121 days. We had, you know, basically the cycle resetting itself in 121 days. Dude, you'd have to wait upwards of a year, more than a year, to get a reset in the stock market. And we've been on an 11-year bull run, but still, to get a cycle restart in the stock market, dude, you're waiting a long time. Here we go to $19, all the way down to what is it, 680, and 121 days is 4 months. Boom, buy back in, right down here, right where it's low at right here. Go ahead, buy it back in, and pop back up. And even though we've had a bunch of resistance here on the rise up, you're still looking at what, close to almost 100%. You're looking at like 80% gains. You're not doing this in the stock market. And this is just volatility. This is just price action. This literally has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But the reason why Bitcoin is having this tremendous success, the real reason why it's happening, is because no one controls it, man. Nobody controls Bitcoin. Nobody could say, hey, we're garnishing your wages. No federal government can come in and wipe you out for tax, whatever, even if they're wrong. Can't happen. Your funds are never frozen here. Never. It doesn't matter if the Fed decides to print more money. You're unaffected. You cannot print more Bitcoin. Let me get into mining, right? So look, Bitcoin mining is a process of producing new Bitcoin into the market. Okay, that's what happens with Bitcoin mining. Now look, this is like a very simple way of putting it, but you know how you use your calculator, like we did the calculator for the 166 Bitcoin, right? When you use your calculator and you hit equals, there's a tiny little delay where the processor is computing the equation, and then it pumps out the number. With miners, the Bitcoin network is creating a series of very complex equations, right? So so your calculator produced that number, that answer to the equation in a millisecond, right? A fraction of a second. The Bitcoin blockchain is producing, or a miner on the Bitcoin network will produce an answer to Bitcoin's equation in 6 days, and it'll cost roughly $6,000 to do so, right? And right now, that cost is now doubled because of the halving yesterday. So that math was when the Bitcoin network was giving each miner or each block 12 Bitcoin. And so miners, they're hustling their computers to do those equations. They get these really high-powered computers, or they get a ton of these high-powered computers, and they're trying to solve these equations, because the faster that they can solve these equations, the more of the Bitcoin that they're going to get on the block. And so, right now, so they were getting 12, and it cost them $6,000 and 6 days of running that computer at a high capacity to get a whole Bitcoin, right? Now, it's costing $12,000 to get one Bitcoin. Like, that's the new cost of mining, is $12,000, because the same work that you were doing is only spitting out half a Bitcoin. And that's how Bitcoin mining works. So, we can't print a Bitcoin. It costs way too much money to try to make one Bitcoin, and you need to solve these ridiculously complex equations in order to do so. And because of that, you're not going to get this willy-nilly printing like you would get with the US dollar. And you have gotten, and the Fed is talking about going to the digital dollar, I believe May 24th. Here, let me just pull it up. So I got receipts, right? I think it was digital dollar stimulus March 24th. Let me look for this real quick. Here, this is Forbes, dude. Here, if you don't believe me, believe Forbes if you want to, right? But this is Forbes. All right, so this is Forbes magazine. I'm on this thing. This is their website. Digital dollar and digital wallet bill surfaces in the U.S. Senate. Now, new bill text inserted at the bottom with press release from the bill sponsor. At the height of this pandemic, we must do more to protect the financial well-being of hardworking Americans and consumers. They are on the front lines of this crisis. Blah, 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 blah. Legislation would allow every American to set up a free bank account so they don't have to rely on expensive check cashiers to access their hard money. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. This should be like non-member banking. This is the actual bill. What? Oh. All right. This bill includes mandates for each agency to assist in the supply of digital dollar wallets. Dude, look, man. The writing's on the wall, man. All right. So look, let's say they do this digital dollar, right? Which is cool. Like I'm okay with the digital dollar. But if they could print willy-nilly the paper dollars, imagine them printing digital dollars. There will be nothing. I mean, right now it's occurring like video game points from the Federal Reserve. But if they had digital dollars now in bank accounts and whatnot, it would be incredibly easy to just print to infinitum as much money, digital money, as you want. Now with Bitcoin, this is the difference between Bitcoin and the US dollar. With Bitcoin, there's a 21 million Bitcoin hard cap. All right. So look, since 2009, it's been releasing so many per block per 10 minutes throughout every day, 24 hours a day. I think there's like 16 million Bitcoin that have been mined right now, maybe more. I think it's maybe like 17 million now. And then there's 21 million Bitcoin that'll ever be mined total. And the last mined Bitcoin will occur in 2145. So look, that means that there's 4 million Bitcoin left in the Bitcoin network to be released as miners mine it. Yeah, it's gonna be very difficult to get to that limit and all those coins and whatnot. But you won't be able to just produce Bitcoin to infinity. Okay, there's a hard cap on how much is out there, and so since the supply is very limited, and if the demand increases, which it is, then you have a lopsided supply-demand ratio, thus driving up the price of Bitcoin. Because I think if you divided 21 million across the entire planet of 7 billion people, you get 0.003 Bitcoin, 0.003 Bitcoin per person. And Bitcoin can be divided into, I think, 10 million pieces, and it can even go deeper than that. But right now, that's all we need to use. So, imagine trying to split up the value of the U.S. dollar evenly amongst everybody. It would be kind of crazy, but at the same time, there'd be enough for everybody to have, plenty of dollars. With Bitcoin, you can't fathom what it's like to hold one, right? So to hold one Bitcoin is like holding the value of, or the wealth of, close to 300 people. Take 300 people's wealth and put it into a Bitcoin. If 0.003 Bitcoin were to get divvied up, if that value transfer were to occur, and the equivalency of that value in US and fiat dollars occurred, which I think the value of fiat dollars across the world is like 216 trillion. If that flipped into Bitcoin, you're looking at a $6 million per valuation per coin, per Bitcoin. If we just got to 1 million, that would be crazy. That'd be insane. 100,000 would be nuts. Bitcoin's last all-time high price was 20,000. So there's a lot to talk about with Bitcoin. This is just like an introductory video, but I hope you could see how holding one Bitcoin is major, right? Especially if this becomes the new currency of the internet. It is absolutely a currency that's used globally. It's used all over Africa, all over Asia. The Western world is actually trying to catch up. South America is using Bitcoin, and in all the countries in South America use Bitcoin in some way, shape or fashion. The U.S. is coming along. In Ohio, you can actually pay your taxes in Bitcoin, and there's a lot of use cases for Bitcoin in a lot of aspects of society in terms of data storing or smart contracts, and there's other cryptocurrencies that can do a lot for making internet commerce easier, transacting with people much easier, much simpler, using a currency that you can actually rely on in terms of value, in terms of the supply demand ratio, in terms of you being able to store your wealth. Without a password to a Bitcoin wallet, you're not gonna get into anybody's wallet, like, at all. You won't be able to reach that. So somebody would have to give you access to their wallet in order for you to get their crypto, which is a game changer, man. Most of the time, it just takes getting into your account, whether you're an institution or a government or a hacker. You just got to get into the account. Now you have access. This is a completely different ball game when it comes to value, transactional value, and storing your wealth. Keep in mind, it's very volatile. Like I just showed you, the crypto space is extremely volatile for now. There's going to come a time where we reach equilibrium pricing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to have a hard price. We're going to know, just like we know with gold. 2,000 is a little expensive. 1,000 is cheap. 1,500, it's right. It's about right for gold. So when it goes below 1,500, we know it's cheap. You should buy. When it's above 1,500, it's starting to get up there. Get ready to sell, right? And so with Bitcoin, the same thing is going to happen. At some point, we're going to find out its equilibrium price. We're going to discover what people really value it at. I bet all my coin on no less than a 7-figure Bitcoin valuation. Somewhere in 7 figures is what one Bitcoin will cost, and we'll see if that holds true. But at least on this next market cycle, I don't think a $50,000 Bitcoin is crazy. I don't think so. I don't think $100,000 Bitcoin is crazy. I don't think so. And we may have some years before we get to something, in the $500,000 range or more. That's just my prediction. That's kind of how I play the map in my head. And if it goes up faster, sooner, great. That'd be awesome. But yeah, hope you like this video. Comment down in the comment section, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Hit me up on Instagram, Caravan Crypto. Also follow my videography and photography channel, which is Caravan Film Crews, and on all social media you can follow me on Caravan Film Crews. Shoot me up. Don't shoot me up, please. Hit me up. Shoot me a DM. Shoot me a message. Whatever. Let's talk. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Appreciate it.